There you go. Okie dokie. So who would like to go first?
Well, Brenda, why don't you go first to model your proposal?
I don't have any announcements. I have no qualms with any of the agendas, and I'm glad to be here. Although if I end up bailing out of the meeting, don't take it personally. I have a very good friend who died yesterday, and it's beginning to sink in this evening. So that I will be more snarly than usual. So I'm trying to maintain a silence.
I'm sorry for your loss. And also just, announcements are short. And Jan, you had your hand up. You're next.
Yeah, no, I was just going to volunteer. We had a really nice work party at the Filbert Grove, and the Filbert Grove is looking pretty good for going into the winter season. Had about 20 kids from Rachel Carson, so that all went well. I don't have any comments on the agenda, so that's enough.
Thank you, Jan. Susan?
Hey y'all, it's me, Susan Kittleson, and just want to let y'all know the only announcement we have is that we are going to be doing another recycling event in April. And Emerald Park and us are getting together within the next couple of weeks to lock down the date.
Great. Stefan? You're unmuted.
Yes, sorry about that. I'm in North Carolina visiting family, and it's 10 o'clock here, and we arrived on a red eye. So I'm tired, and I'll do my best.
Okay, well, thanks for making the effort to get online. Misty?
Hi, everyone. Misty Frost on Corliss Lane. And I don't have any announcements, but I'm looking forward to listening and contributing to tonight's discussions. Thank you.
Okay, John?
Let's see, announcements. There has the River Road Water District contracted with eWeb to add another loop to the water supply that goes through the West Bank Park. As a result of adding that loop, they took out a white oak tree, a sapling, and they are replacing it with, I believe, 3 white oak trees that'll be planted by Friends of Trees. So that's one thing. I've heard that there are, as of tonight, 5 potential candidates to run for the Ward 7 position. And I want to thank Susan for a very successful, Susan and
Kathy,
thank you,
thank
for
you.
a very successful recycling event. And I'm glad you're doing it again. And finally, that we have requested to make 2 agenda adjustments, and they would be that our guests who both have plans for later in the evening would like to go earlier in the agenda. So I would like to move item number 4, which is Jackie and Charles's discussion about next month's meeting, to right after this item. And then item number 12, which is about Zippo lamination presented by Sarah Mazzi, to right after we talk with Jackie and Charlesy. So we probably should make a motion. Would anyone want to make the motion to make those adjustments? Brenda, raise her hand.
I'd make that motion, but I would add having Stuffins up there because he just told us it's 10 o'clock where he started. Put his right at the 3rd early thing so it doesn't get later and later for him.
Stuffins?
He doesn't have one.
Doesn't Stefan have a?
Other than
that was
approving the
Dan.
minutes, no.
Excuse me, it was Dan. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So I would move that we do that change.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay,
Jan seconds.
all those in favor,
Who
please
seconded?
Jan and Claire.
pick one. It's up to you, Stefan. You can pick one. So
Got
let's
it.
let's vote with the reactions. If you approve, give us a green dot. If you don't approve, give us a red dot.
And then we've got a. I don't.
Stefan, do you approve?
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Okie dokie.
So back to going around robin.
Okay, I guess I'm next. Oh, I'm here. I had an MRI on Saturday and they told me nothing's wrong with my brain. So now I don't have a good excuse. So, and I wasn't sure if we wanted to involve everybody in the meeting or just the board, but since it's only people that are good old standbys, I'm going to invite Carlene and Pat, if you have any agenda announcements or agenda items. You're muted.
That says
Hi.
no.
Okay. But thank you for being here. We see you. Jackie?
Hi, everybody. I don't have anything to share, just here to cover our topics for tonight.
Okay. Charlesie?
The only thing I'd like to comment about is it would be, I think, a good idea for us to record the introductions at our meetings where our members and the other people who attend have a chance to say their name and we can match the name and the face. I miss that not being there when I go back to listen to the meetings. I often don't know who is really there.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chelsea, for that suggestion. Moving on, John.
How about Joshua?
Oh, Joshua, I didn't see your face, so I didn't see you.
I don't have any announcements at the moment.
Okay.
Now, shout out to Joshua, who's been uploading all of our Zoom recordings for us. Greatly appreciated, sir.
Yeah. And you and Jen, you both were in Italy, so I think you should compare notes. Okay. Moving to the consent calendar.
Okay, I thought we would do that after we had our two guests.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. So who's next?
So we would move to item number 4, now number 2. Plan next month's meeting, dam inundation report. Jackie and Charlesie, we have 10 minutes. The goal is to coordinate plans for November's general meeting with these leaders. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
Okay, Jackie, just speak up whenever you want to. I had agreed, we talked a little bit ahead of time. The feedback I was getting is that you wanted some information as to how we intend to maybe parlay this into recruiting for active volunteerism. Assuming that people that are showing up for the November 14th meeting are probably pretty interested in dam safety and the potential of flooding. And we certainly have a need for more volunteerism. We also have a need for strengthening our network in the community with other people who are concerned and responsible for this kind of thing. So I wanted to just point out some of the things that we've discussed doing. There is a regular monthly meeting of the Ready Northwest Eugene group, the 3 neighborhoods, and the meeting in December 6th, will be entirely devoted to unpacking what we learned at the November 14th meeting and talking about follow-up that we want to do and need to do. We're going to write a summary of the meeting and identify information that came out of it so that we can talk about the spinoff that we would want to do to follow up on those points. We're going to record those people that attended to the best of our ability, and we've started talking about how we can do that. Certainly just sending information to me in a private chat may not work that night, because we suspect there's going to be a lot of people who aren't just River Road people there. So we're going to be looking at how best to capture that information. And we're going to reiterate in the meeting the need for people to please step up, stay in touch with us, sign in as being on the distribution list of our network, so that we can keep this dialogue going. We want to send a follow-up email to those people that did attend, those people that we sent invitations to, explaining what took place. Hopefully we'll have the link to the meeting immediately so we can include that if they couldn't attend. And we want to keep that momentum of that conversation going. We want to write articles for the e-news for sure. And I don't know what the outcome will be for the plans of the hard copy newsletter, but perhaps some mention of it in there. I see it as an opportunity to try to have more of a dialogue with the established emergency preparedness personnel at the county and city level, even though the city doesn't have a direct responsibility for these issues. They certainly need to be communicating with the neighborhoods about this, and we need to strengthen that relationship. They tend to focus primarily on CERT, the CERT program, and radios, and we want to encourage them to broaden that and talk to us. So that's about it in terms of that list right now. Jackie, do you have anything to add?
I think that pretty much covers it. We really want to just layer in several requests of asking people to get involved in specific ways. So it's great if they come up with a to-do list for us, but we need people to help follow up on those to-dos. As we saw, out of the board retreats in the past, to-do lists don't really go anywhere if there's nobody willing to do something on that list. So we want to try to figure out specific calls to action to kind of layer into the presentation, and then also leave time at the end to talk about what those follow-ups are going to be. How do we get involved? How do we unpack that together? And then, yeah, that meeting in December will solely be devoted to unpacking that presentation. So we hope that's going to bring some good follow-up conversation.
I'm assuming that you would be inviting people to join your committee project, and because you usually have a broad open invitation for people to join Reading Northwest. So
right, I think we'll be posting fairly frequently in the meeting. That would be the intention. The link that they can click on to automatically get a form that allows them to quickly sign up and then be in our database for ongoing information. Yeah, I mean, that would be the idea, is that we would hope to capture as many people as possible. Many of them may already be in that database, but yeah, we want to do that.
But yeah, Brenda.
I was just playing with, I think I just put a document in the chat that all of us could sign in on. But as you got to talking, if you know kind of the responses you want, I could create a form that we put into the chat that we ask people to fill out that night.
So we do already have one of those out there that asks for what neighborhood they're in, what areas of emergency preparedness they're interested in. They can put in free form text comments as well. So we definitely already have a Google form out there, and that's how they sign up for our email list too.
Okay, well, I was just thinking that having a sign up that I was here tonight, and you're already on it, but I'm just thinking that would be a way to give some people a way to respond that very night, versus go away and think I'm going to follow that up tomorrow, and then life happens and you miss it.
No, I think you're making a good point, and maybe Jackie and I can talk about it between now and the meeting, because I see the nuance of what you're suggesting as being different than the one we usually use. It's sort of how to discreetly identify the people at that meeting that night. But maybe the one that Jackie's referring to can serve in that respect, Jackie. You know, even if they're in our database, maybe we can use that same one to do both, get new people and you'd know that better. Yeah, Brenda, I think that's a good idea. And I think, yeah, well,
We can explore that more definitely.
Why don't we do that to take attendance in our regular meetings?
Well, let's just play with it tonight, right now, during the meeting, and see if you can all sign on that and see if it works. Because
I think in the past, the argument to not do that in the meetings was that we can't verify that somebody actually logged into the meeting just because they put their name on that link. That was a past concern in doing it that way.
and it shares their information publicly, whereas the
yeah.
the form means it goes just to Chelsea or whoever it's going to,
Yeah.
and doesn't let everybody see it. That's why I shifted from what I was posting to no, a form is better, because then you can't see what everybody else said.
Correct.
Right.
It
This
keeps
is just a
the-
Google Doc. Yeah.
It keeps the anonymity, but if there's a way we can, and Jackie probably knows that if she gets a bunch right after the meeting, those are people who are in the meeting.
Yep,
So,
there's a timestamp on
okay.
there.
Why
Yeah,
don't
you
we
can-
trust that Jackie and Charlesley will come up with a plan for this
Right,
meeting
thank you, yeah.
and have further discussion on how we can do
Right.
better in the general meeting. Other thoughts,
Right.
concerns, kudos, whatever for these folks? Jan,
Yeah, I just put a little comment in the chat. I attended the last meeting that Jackie and Charles D managed about the emergency preparedness. And they're a really good duo, I'll say. You know, they both work well together, and the meeting I thought was really productive. I thought they did a really good job. It's an important topic. So that's a kudo right there.
Thanks, Jan.
Thank
Yeah.
you. We've also this last couple of weeks have been working with Jan on and getting some of his information into a format that we can easily add to the menu of materials we're handing out. So it feels like a real accomplishment to me that it feels like we're closer in being bonded with the sustainability issues that that Jan has been promoting and that we need to also promote. And so that feels real good. When I'm very interested, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I didn't want to miss, I saw in the agenda, there was a mention about potentially adding another topic to that November meeting. I want to make sure we don't miss that. We would not like to include that in the November meeting if possible. We would really like to reserve that time for discussion about and question and answer time out of this presentation. So I'm not sure what the background is of that item, but I wanted to make sure we touched on that.
yeah, let me quickly explain. I have been talking with Counselor Jennifer Ye since we don't have a counselor. And the suggestion had been made that we create a list of issues that are important to our neighborhood to use with the interview for the potential new city council candidates. Unfortunately, it's a time-sensitive item, and if we were to do it and involve our full membership, we only have either using the e-news or that meeting in order to solicit that input. So why don't we make that the next item on the agenda and have that discussion? But I understand your concern completely.
And I would like to be able to speak to that because
Of
there are
course.
reasons why it ought not to be that meeting. And there is another option. You have 260 plus members and you have their emails. So we can
Good point.
look forward to talking to them.
So if there's no objection, we'll adjust the agenda again. I just sent a message to Sarah Mazzi to come join us. So when she signs in, we'll transition to that as quickly as we can. But if there's no objection, why don't we move to that discussion about whether or not we want to generate a list of issues for the city council to use? No
Can you
objection.
tell us what the time frame for that is?
Well, let me make sure that we know, we agree to adjust the agenda so we can talk about it? Is there any opposition? Okay, so let me see. I think I put that in the information that I sent you out about this. Let me find it. The appointment will be done in early December, which means that our next meeting will be too late. The applications for candidates are due on November 9th. So the first question is, do we want to avail ourselves of this opportunity? And if we do, what's the best way to do it? And I totally appreciate the fact that you are not anticipating a significant item in your time frame for your very important and well anticipated meeting. So, does anyone wish to open the discussion? Brenda.
As Jackie just said, and as I was beginning to think, we could put together, if you had some things that you wanted, we could do a poll that asked whoever wanted to respond to that poll to answer your question, and do that not in the meeting. You could do it in the newsletter that goes out right before that, and have people respond to the poll, and then post the poll at the beginning of the meeting that said, if you want to do this, please do it after the meeting. Here's the link. And the poll will close on the 14th.
So that would mean that the board would determine the potential topics, or does it need to be a two-step process and ask
Nope, you don't have
folks
to
what their
decide.
issues are?
You don't have to decide what the topics are. You're asking people to you're asking what are the things that people are concerned about, right? That's what you're asking.
Okay, and then we do some sort of sifting process to figure out what's most important to them. I just see 50 people giving us 50 times 5 different issues, and how do we deal with that?
Well, I don't know how else you were going to do it in the middle of a meeting. You're still going to have that problem one way or the other. So
We have several hands up. Can we move on and see what other people think?
sure.
Okay, Chelsea.
Well, I would just suggest that a couple of board members draft a list and that you reach out to the members, the RRCO members. If you're polling, what does RRCO neighborhood think are priority issues? You want to make sure that you're asking RRCO people. And so we have 260 plus people that you have emails for. Ask them to review the list, add any ideas in addition, and vote for 5 or 6 or however many. The problem with sending it out in an e-blast is there's a lot of people on that e-blast list that may not be RRCO residents.
That's a good point. So I'm hearing a suggestion of 2 iterations. One, send out a list and ask for additions, then come back and ask for a vote.
Well, can I finish my comment, please?
Sure.
The really important reason why I don't think it should eat up time in our 14th meeting was that meeting was always promised to be a single issue meeting. This is a topic which is incompatible with that topic. It is not going to be of interest to a lot of people who may be attending, and it will eat into a once in a decade or 2 opportunity to talk to the Army Corps of Engineers and have a real brainstorm without interrupting and using up at least 20 minutes of time, if not more, on an issue not prepared to think about.
Yeah.
Urge you to please don't take a big chunk of time away from this meeting and divert people's attention away from the topic.
Okay, so let's focus on the alternative way to do this. Misty?
Yeah, I just posted in the chat, maybe we have a special meeting for this event, and perhaps even invite the candidates to join us in a meeting where we ask questions, like kind of like the straw poll town hall we had at the Alluvium. but organized by our group, and or collaborate with other Ward 7 neighborhood organizations as well. We can have one big one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Other thoughts? Claire?
So is this a taking the initiative type thing to do, or has anybody asked us to do this?
It was proposed by one individual. I mentioned it to Jennifer and she thought it was a good idea. It's not something we have to do, but talk about rare opportunities. How often do we have an opportunity to give input to the council selecting a replacement?
And then just remind everybody that we don't get a vote. The council is voting on the person that they're. So when you said the candidates, are you talking about the candidates the council is considering, or
Yes,
is there? So it's how is that candidate pool? Is that anybody who wants to be considered in a candidate pool?
anybody who's a resident of Ward 7 and a resident of the city can apply, yes.
Okay, so it's not the pool, the candidate pool isn't appointed by the city. We have a say in that.
Whoever wants to show up, shows up.
Right, okay, thank you for the clarification. I think there is offline, we could do it virtually. And I always bristle a little bit, Charlesie, because our mailing list is 500 people who open the email regularly. And
No, that's not what she's suggesting. She's suggesting a membership list.
I know that, John.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I was talking about the people who live in the neighborhood. Some of them on that list do not live in the neighborhood. Not all of them are on the membership list. And I would like us to extend the invitation to as broad as possible.
Okay, so you're proposing we use the email list rather than the membership list?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I misunderstood. Other thoughts?
2 people are raising their hands.
Brenda?
I heard a shift in the middle of this meeting, but I thought you said originally in the pre-meeting was what qualifications or qualities would I want in the new representative, the new counselor? And now I'm hearing us talking about let's find out who's nominated and see which one we want. I would rather stick with the qualities that we're looking for. And that's not recommending anybody, but it's saying what we want as a representative and passing that to the city. It keeps us from endorsing anybody particularly and makes it easier, I think.
Well, what I spoke with Councilor Ye about was neither of those, but to identify the issues that are important to the neighborhood so the council could follow up with candidates about those issues.
That's what I thought I said. Okay.
So anybody else? Let's see if we could Claire.
No, I didn't take my hand down.
Okay, so let me try to work through this as quickly as possible. How many people think we should try to find a way to generate this list of concerns for River Road to send to the city council? Green or red dot, please.
It depends on what it is.
I want to just make sure I'm very clear on what we're voting on. It is, do we want the ability to generate a list of concerns, not a list of candidates or any endorsements, but a list of neighborhood issues that we would submit to them that they would use when they're talking to the candidates? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, John. And this is not to agree that that list is going to be the list. We will have to figure some other way to compile
First,
that.
are we going to do it? Then let's figure out how.
Thank you. Yes, and I agree. Thank you.
Okay, there's several of you who have not red or green dotted.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, Misty, your thought?
I support it, but I'm concerned about the questions. But if this is just to create the list, I mean,
Right.
yeah, I can support.
So everyone who has voted is in a favor of generating a list of River Road issues to send to council for their evaluation of candidates. Okay. So I heard, let's go to the second question, which is, which way should we generate this list? Should we use our e-news list or should we use our membership list? Let's do this by hands. The green dots aren't working. All those who support the idea of using the membership list to solicit this list of issues from our membership alone, raise your hand physically.
And to clarify, the membership list is the smaller number, the 250 or some odd
Correct.
number. Correct. Thank you.
To be on
Now,
that
not all
list,
of
you have
those
to
are
have participated in a meeting, et cetera, et cetera.
in the past year.
Right.
Can I ask another question before you take that poll? Like, why don't we just make that list as a board, as representatives?
That's what I was saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's back up to that. Should we, very quick question, two possibilities. Should the board generate the list or should we ask the membership to generate the list? Or some list therein? How many think the board should make the list? 1, 2, 3. Stefan, is your hand up? Yes, 4. How many think we should go through some process to get our membership to generate that list?
3.
Okay, the board will do it. So do we need to do any more? Shall we just leave it to the chairs to develop a process? Or do you want to go further?
Just the chairs aren't going to be available in the next 10 days or so. And
Okay, it would be just,
so
yes.
we need some backup leadership here.
Okay, who would like to volunteer to poll the board to make that list?
I can create a poll. I'm not going to keep following on it perfectly, but I can create a way for people to say, this is what I think. And if some of those glop together, I could send it out again and say, pick 5.
Okay, so Brenda's,
I'll probably sit here and do it while we're meeting tonight.
well, are you going to solicit other people's recommendations to be on the list?
Nope. You're going to write them. You're going to respond with your answers. I'm not creating a list for you to pick from.
Okay,
I'm
that's
giving
what I
you
was
a
asking.
poll that says fill in 5 free writes of about 5 words of what you think is important, and then I can reshare that out to everybody and say pick your top 6 or something.
And then you would rank those.
Right. And then I'll send it to Claire to let her do something with it, because I don't know the next stuff. Where it
Okay.
goes from there.
Does that work for everybody? Does anyone have another option? Misty.
Yes, I was wondering if we could include our committee groups. So like social justice, emergency preparedness, they can also submit as groups what questions they feel are important. It's just instead of each of us individually sending in what we think is important, like, yes, involve some on some level our other groups too.
Okay, got it. Susan, your thought?
I thought if we are going to do a poll or a form, you might want to start with a list that we made as a board at the last retreat, when everyone suggested what was important to them. We actually had that as part of the list. You could at least start with that, and that would give you something to go on. And I'll send you a link, Brenda.
Okay.
Actually, Claire is working on refining that. Would you be willing to send that out, Claire?
Well, most of it isn't community issues. Most of
I
it's what we
understand,
wanted
but
to
it doesn't
do.
hurt.
Yeah, I'm certainly ready. I was going to share it anyway, but I had my hand. I had my hand up, and which is to say that I like the idea of extending it to active committee members. And also that we can put it in the newsletter that we took this action and are proposing these things. And if anybody has further things to add, they can send us an email to do that. I think sending out a broad survey is usually not very successful, so.
Okay, Jan?
Yeah, I think I hear clearly that the committees can suggest issues and other board members can suggest issues too.
Yeah,
Okay,
And
Committee
these are
members, board
qualities,
members.
we're good with that.
qualities or issues to be addressed by the new city council person, right?
They're issues that the neighborhood feels are important, and it's going to the city council for them to evaluate. Assumedly have discussion with the candidates on what they would do about those issues.
part of
Okay.
their interview process.
Right. Stefan,
I think we just decided that the board was going to do this, so I don't know why now we're not talking about extending it beyond the board. And
someone
I
has
also
added
think
that
that,
as a possibility and we'll vote.
well, I thought we already voted.
Well, someone's adjusting as making an amendment to the decision.
Well, once we make, I'm frustrated by a process where we make a decision and then we move away from that decision.
No one's
If
moving
That's
away
how
from
you
the
wanna do- if
decision,
That's how you want
Stefan.
to do it. You know, go
I'm trying to
ahead.
get this done as quickly as possible, Stefan, and
Well,
I'm being
that's what I'm
flexible.
suggesting is we made a decision and we should stick with the decision. I also think that what the board came up with priorities is different than what we want from a city councilor. I mean, we have our priorities as a board, but what a city councilor can do is different than that.
Yes.
These are
Anyway,
issues that are
whatever people
important
wanna
to the
do, they
neighborhood.
can do, but it's frustrating to me.
We're not going to ask council candidate how they're going to make our board more effective. We're going to ask what they're going to do about MX and those kinds of issues. Anybody else? So Stefan, I think we owe it to the people who made the suggestion. Do we add the outreach to the chairs of our social justice and our emergency preparedness committee? If you want to do that, please raise your hand.
I saw thumbs down, Brenda.
So all those who don't want to do that, raise your hand. So I see a 5-2 vote. So we'll add them to the list. 2 people.
Oh, you're only adding 2 people. I thought it was a whole committee. 2 people.
Well, we'll leave it to them to connect to their committees.
But the timeline for this is not a month.
Right.
You need this in a week,
Yeah,
right? Okay, so it's not, you can't spread it out that.
the
point.
committee, the board has agreed to reach out to those 2 individuals.
All right, this is a short-term project that I adopted. I mean, it's like, I'll send it out, we'll get it back, I'll send it out again, we're done. I'm done.
Right. Anything further we need to do with this?
I just want to clarify that my proposal was that we share this list that we want to give to the city council in our newsletter. And that's an opportunity also if people in our membership want to comment on the list, then they can do that via whatever way we invite them to do it.
And what is the process that we would incorporate their thoughts? Would it come back to the board?
They
for
may,
their-
no, they may not, it might not be incorporating their thoughts into the document. It's like their thoughts for our information.
So we would ask them what they think and say, we're not going to pay any attention to it?
No, we care what they think for our own reasons.
Okay, so for future efforts, we'd like to know what you would add to this list.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Let's try to get this done, folks. Misty?
Yeah, so I mean, we can show our effort to be inclusive
Hey,
about
I'm new here.
questions that we are proposing by engaging with our committees. And also, if you have something dire that we didn't cover in these questions that our committees and our leadership came up with, please share something along those lines. But we're not sending out a mass email to everyone with, tell us questions. You know what I'm saying?
I
Okay.
think Brenda's point was that the committees meet once a month. Our time frame doesn't allow to wait for that to happen. So it's
Correct.
gotta
So
be.
it's up to them to reach out in the
Yeah.
time frame we have. So I'm going to limit this discussion to board members because we need to move on. So we have a process, as I understand.
I think
it.
Jan has a question.
Yeah,
Jan
Jan.
Spencer.
just a quick question for board members who want to suggest ideas to add to this message to the city council. Who would they send those ideas to? Would it be the chair? Would it be John and Claire, or what?
Beyond this list, Jan?
We're gonna get
To
We're
add
gonna
to
get
the
a-
list.
a
Whoa,
survey.
settle down now. Settle down. Settle
Jan,
down.
we're getting a survey and you can just put it in there.
Okay,
Okay, are we done? So let me summarize what I think we're doing. Brenda's going to send out an initial list to all the our initial request to all the board members and to the two chairs of the committees that are active, asking them for N number of issues that they believe are important to the neighborhood that we would like the council to provide the opportunity for candidates to respond to. She will give you a period of days in which to respond. She'll gather those together and create a ranked list that she will send on to Claire. Or do you want to have?
I will send you a survey. I will see what the survey says, and I will decide when I see the survey how I might summarize it, if there's something to be sent out again, or I'll give it straight to Claire. It depends
Fair
on
enough.
what we get back.
Brenda,
Okay.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the survey?
Who's that? Who? I can't see who's talking.
Oh, it's Nancy. It's Nancy.
Nancy, could you tell us who you are, please?
I'm here for the board meeting.
Okay, this is a board meeting, so you're welcome to observe, but it's for the board to discuss issues.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the survey
I'm kind of
is.
confused on what's going on with the whole diameter of this meeting. New here, so I'm just like trying to understand the circumference of this meeting.
The agenda is online. I sent out a link.
Where is that link by any chance? Because I'm like new here. I just like started this job.
Okay, can I make a suggestion that you connect with a board member and get orientation before you add agenda items for the board?
Yeah, so
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
I'm sorry,
Brenda
I just-
recommended this to me. So Brenda recommended it. So
Okay, well, I don't want to discourage your participation. It's just, we have a tight agenda and we tend to move through it very quickly because we don't have random members coming in.
I'm not
that's
random.
bad,
I mean,
that's not bad.
Brenda suggested this to me. I emailed her like a few months ago, and she told me
Okay.
to join this
Mine
ASAP.
actually
And I'm
owns
just
this.
trying to participate. Bob.
But this is a board meeting and it's for board members to discuss and move on. And we have a very full agenda. You're welcome to observe and join us in a general meeting where everyone participates. And I'm sorry to be so tight, but we're getting further and further behind in our agenda.
Are you telling me to
My
leave?
daddy owns this.
Bob, stop talking over me.
Mute, Nancy, mute. It's done. It's enough. You're up to here. I'm done. It's enough. My daddy actually owns this Zoom call, so I feel like I should be allowed to participate.
So folks, if you can't observe and not participate, I'm going to ask Claire to mute you so that you can't interrupt the meeting. I apologize for that.
I
That's
mean,
my
Misty
bad,
looks
that's my
like she's
bad.
having a good time.
I'll mute. Nancy, that's not
I'm
appropriate.
sorry.
Mute up,
I'm
mute up.
sorry too. I'll mute now. I'm sorry.
But we'd love to get you involved with the neighborhood. It's just, this is not best entry point.
Okay.
Thank
Oh,
you.
my bad. My
Thank
bad. All right.
I'm sorry.
Continue. Sorry.
Okay,
Brenda, please
so
mute. Thank you.
Sarah, we are done with this item as far as I know, unless anybody else has an issue. Let us go to our next item on the agenda, which is discussion of Sarah Mazzei's efforts for getting Zippo lamination vibration ordinance passed by the city council and how we can help as a board.
Hi.
Sarah, first of all, thanks for what you're doing.
Yeah. So several people met last week, and I think we'll be meeting again in a couple of weeks to try and put pressure on this. Basically, the intention is to put some pressure on the city to tighten the noise ordinance so that it covers the sound that is happening from Zippo laminators. And our plan is to hold a protest on November 19th and to write an op-ed that would be in the Register Guard, hopefully before that. And to get some press coverage of the protest, and then to encourage people to attend the public hearing on November 21st. It's been tentatively scheduled for November 21st at 5:30. And so the focus is really more the city than it is Zippo laminators. I actually spoke with someone today from Zippo laminators, and he made it really clear that they're not going to change what they're doing unless they need to be in compliance with regulations from the city, which they are right now. So the question for the board,
Hey,
and I
Bob here, just bodying the screen. Pat, your cat is really, really cute. I
could,
just thought
Claire, could you mute Bob and, if necessary, Nancy?
I didn't say anything.
that would be
no
great if you could.
disrespect. No disrespect. Her cat's just really cute. I just had to point it out. Thank you. All right, continue.
But
so Sarah,
I did not say anything.
Nancy, I said if necessary.
John, can you mute,
just
please? Sarah, go back. Sorry, John, mute.
This is quite distracting. I would feel more comfortable, Claire, if you could just mute people and
They are
Sarah, you
muted from
outside?
my, they are muted from my end. I don't understand what's going on.
Claire, you
Yeah,
can
I'm muted.
also just ask them to, you can just dismiss them under participants and
Brenda,
invite
excuse me, don't interrupt.
Come to another
Sarah,
meeting.
continue, please. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Evidently, they can unmute themselves. I think, Claire,
no,
if
it
they,
won't let me.
if
Once you mute
they
me,
speak
it
up
won't let me
again,
unmute.
please remove them from the meeting.
Okay, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry,
But Sarah,
Claire.
I have a question. I have a question.
Continue.
Sarah, I have a
No,
question.
we need to
Oh.
move on.
Wrong.
Sarah,
So the
please
question-
continue.
Is
So
Sarah
the-
outside?
So the question to the board is whether you feel comfortable with adding your name or the board, River Road Community Organization, as a author of the letter to the editor, which isn't written yet, or the op-ed, which isn't written yet. So you could have, I don't know how you can make decisions in between meetings if need be, if you want to
We
make
can
that
have an
decision
e-vote.
okay, so after you see that, I think that's being written now, but also it would be great if the board could help with publicity, and if the board wanted to put their name onto the press release that would be going out. Or not their name, not any of your individual names. Sorry, I'm a little thrown by the chaos of the meeting, so I'm not feeling a little scattered here. Not individual names, but just the if we could say the River Road Community Organization is one of the organizations that's involved in organizing, that would be great.
Okay. Thank you for all that. Does anyone have any thoughts? One possibility is we could endorse this effort and potentially vote to endorse the letter once we see it through an e-vote. Other thoughts? Jan?
Yeah, I think it's important for the neighborhood organization and the board to support an issue like this that's been going on for ages. So I appreciate Sarah's initiative. I think we should support this.
Other thoughts? How about a motion to support Sarah's effort to bring the Zippo log issue to the city council as endorsed by our board? And then later, once we see the letter, we can have a separate vote on that. Jan, are you making that motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we respond to Sarah's request for this. RRCO is endorsing this message to the board or to the city council, what you said, John.
Okay.
I
Stefan,
second.
do you have that?
I think so.
Okay. Misty seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, just raise your hands if you're in support of this motion.
Oh, Mike, I was a discussion. Yeah.
Did someone have discussion?
I just
Okay,
wanted to ask, is there any reason, are there people who would disagree? Like, I think our job is to hear both sides of issues, but I don't think there's people in our neighborhood who don't find it to be a problem that needs to be addressed. I'm just asking for a temperature check, I guess.
I've been following this on social media, both on Nextdoor and Facebook. And I've heard nobody argue against trying to control this.
Okay, just, I'm confirming that. I thought it wasn't, it's not controversial, it's just a big problem. Got it.
And it's been going on for over a year.
Zippo
So-
goes back decades.
Let's vote. All those in favor, one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's unanimous. Thank you, Sarah. And if you could send your letter to Claire. Claire, would you be willing to put it through an e-vote?
Sure.
Okay.
Would that be coming by when, Sarah?
I am not the one writing the letter, but I'll reach out to the couple of people who volunteered to do that and find out what their timeline is and can give you an update. My
Okay.
hope it would be in this is that it would be in this next week.
Okay, I'm gonna be out of town, so that's why I'm asking.
Oh, okay. Well, what is the time frame that makes sense for you?
Well, I'll have access to the internet, so.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
And heartfelt thanks for all you're doing, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks to all of you. Sorry, I did not explain myself very well. I definitely got
No,
scattered.
it got a little wonky there.
I appreciate all that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, good night.
Thanks, everybody. We are way off our schedule. The next item for the agenda is to approve the consent calendar, which consists of 2 meeting minutes, the 9/12 general meeting and the 9/19 board meeting. Thank you for getting those to us, Stefan. Does anyone want to move to approve the consent calendar, or are there any edits to either of those minutes that need to be made?
I move to approve the consent calendar in the minutes.
Second.
And Jan's got his hand up as a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, I think it's unanimous. Is anybody opposed? Great. Review previous general meeting. We have 10 minutes for this, but the questions are what went well and what should be changed. Anybody have any thoughts? This was primarily our discussion of with our candidates for the House district. We did not have candidates for the Senate district. And as I recall, we also voted to approve the letter that the city asked for the additional funding for the bridge, the ped bike bridge over the river. My comment would be that it was unfortunate that we got more confused the more we heard from the city, but I'll talk to her about that. Other people's thoughts? Did you see value in having the candidates for the House district come talk to us?
The chat kind of poll at the end where people seem to be appreciative of that.
Jan?
Yeah, I made the comment that the candidates sort of precipitate public comments, and it's, I think, really important to hear what people have to say about the different issues. I think that's important, even aside, from the candidates, just to hear what people have to say.
Yeah, and certainly the candidates clearly just distinguish themselves from each other by what they had to say.
Yeah, I found one comment. I think Jolene made this. Maybe I misunderstood, but
Claire,
the
we're having a
idea,
meeting here. Please wake up.
the idea of trying to combine the pedestrian bridge over Beltline with the bridge over the Willamette River, and I said, that's impossible, you know,
No, that was the confusion I was talking
Yeah,
about. She
that-
didn't do a
that's-
good job of distinguishing
yeah,
that.
that just was way weird. Okay.
Okay. This next item is, do we want a monthly NAMI chapter report? Dan was here going to present this. I would suggest it's not time sensitive. We'll wait till he's available at a meeting and we'll move on from this item. Okay, seeing no objection. Item number 6, retreat committee report. Claire.
Okay, so we, at our last retreat, we generated a big list of things that we wanted to get done. And we said one of the things we wanted to do is have quarterly retreats. So we're kind of a couple months beyond that. Our proposal is that we meet on December 10th from 9 to 12. That's a Saturday. Can we have a vote on everybody who's available to do that?
I'm available.
Raise your
yeah.
hand. Raise your hand.
I will be there.
If you're a board member, it's open only to board members.
I am a board member, so I will be there.
Who's speaking, please?
Tess. I mean, Gemma, I'm sorry.
I thought it
Okay.
was John, I'm sorry.
Claire.
I don't know what to do. I can't move people. And
Well,
moved
let's see.
You can
Uh,
delete
Brenda, you
people
know
from the
how?
meeting. You
Go into
can,
Claire, you gotta go into the participant.
I think
Why
Jenna
don't you
Toll
make
has a
Brenda
question.
a co-chair and let her do it?
or I'm gonna make Joshua the co-chair because
Why did
I've
you
been
guys
doing
Why did you
everything
guys
that we
pick
usually.
Jenna?
Okay,
Why
is there
did Jenna
anyone
get
who
kicked?
cannot make the night?
10th,
Why did Jenna get kicked?
because you're not participating in the meeting
I am
appropriately.
participating.
It's not your role to participate, Jenna,
Why?
because you're not a board member.
Yes, I am.
No, you're
No, you're
not.
not of
I
this, board. Not of this board.
Yes, I am. Do you even know who I am?
No,
We know all of
who
our
the
board members.
are, and you're not one of them.
Yes, I am.
Oh, for crying out loud.
So
Claire,
Brenda,
you were
is
sleeping the whole
Brenda a
goddamn
co-chair?
What date is proposed again, please? I've lost my train of thought. What date?
December
It's
10th.
December 10th,
Ninth.
yeah.
Or is it 10th? I'm sorry.
It's
Claire,
a
you were
Saturday.
sleeping the whole goddamn meeting.
Is
It's
it a
not your
Sunday?
role to say anything. What?
Is it a Sunday?
Saturday,
Saturday.
At what time?
9 to 12.
Oh, I have to work, but I'll try.
What if we moved it to Sunday? Would that be better for folks? No, okay.
If that, yeah, if December 10th works for everybody else, I'll see if I can make an adjustment in my work schedule.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to clarify what date. Thank you.
Claire, I'll shut up now and let you have it back.
I'm sorry, I'm multitasking, so I can't handle this. Let me just send. Okay,
So the only thing left is the topic. Which is
the
proposed-
topic of the meeting, I'm sorry. So what we've been doing to prepare for the meeting is take the lists that we generated from the last meeting and organize them into relate them to our organizational goals, which is a suggestion Dan made, and to identify the ones that are about increasing our organizational capacity as a separate kind of goal. And that will help us. I will send that out before that meeting and you can review that. We can add to the goals and we can prioritize from that list. It's greatly more organized and reduced from the last long list that we had. Jan.
I just want to backtrack just a sec. This is easy. So I've made contact with Iris Place. So my task now is to make an application to use their space for Saturday, the 10th,
Did we decide on that?
as one of our possibilities. but
Yes, but did we decide on that date?
I
I was being distracted, so I didn't
I
see
thought
that
we
count.
had-
Yes, we passed it while you were being
Okay,
distracted.
thank you very much. Got it.
okay.
So yes,
I'll do that.
thank you.
That means we're meeting in person. I'm just naming
Yes.
the obvious. That
Yes,
we're
Not
meeting at
necessarily.
Irish Place in person.
Well, we have to make sure it's available.
yes.
So, but I know I need to go get the application there and then they'll tell us, okay, it can work or it doesn't work, but I'll let people know the results of that.
Thank you. I think that's great. It's also part of us building relationships in the community.
I think so.
Thank you, Pat, for helping to facilitate that.
Claire,
Yes,
Brenda brought up an important issue. We can certainly use a hotspot to allow people to join us via Zoom if they are uncomfortable meeting in person.
let's cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay,
But
so
I think we're ready to commit to, as a board, meeting in person.
let's cross that
And,
bridge for
and
later.
this is a board only meeting.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, so that's why I don't see us. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm anxious to get us out of here. Can we
Okay.
decide on the agenda and then move on?
so do you need me to clarify the agenda again?
I think you need to get concurrence.
I'm asking if you need me to repeat what we're going to
Uh,
vote on. Okay. Anybody, without objection, shall we move ahead with this agenda?
I would add one other item, and that is solicit who's going to do what, not just identify what our to-do items are, but actually get us, people to engage on those issues, or they
Yes,
don't move
agreed.
forward.
Well, the way I'm thinking about it and organizing it is that that's part of the part and parcel.
Okay, good.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. And there
Okay,
will be an opportunity to add, comments and new items between now and then if you want to.
okay, or at the meeting, obviously.
Right.
Okay, item number 7. We're only 15 minutes behind now. Shall we establish a moving head issues identification ad hoc committee? We have received a request from one individual that we discuss moving ahead and take a position as a neighborhood. It's my thought that we would be better served by identifying what the issues are around moving ahead and present those to the decision bodies and let them know that these are the things that we need so we can provide input when they get to the next decision space. So the proposal is that we reach out to our email list, invite people from the neighborhood, potentially from Santa Clara as well, to generate a concise list of all the issues that one needs to know in order to make a decision about moving ahead. What does it cost? Who's going to pay for it? What is it going to do, plus and minus, all those things that there was a lot of misinformation about before. Let's get ahead of this and get that out into the public. The ancillary value that I see is we can engage those people who are opposed and hopefully coming together as a neighborhood. So that's my proposal. Discussion?
I think it's kind of a brilliant way to bring people into this dialogue, the people who voted to get rid of Claire, et cetera, into a dialogue. And my friends who are generally supportive that I've talked to about that, some of them have raised important questions that we haven't had a good forum to address. So I appreciate the idea.
And the focus is going to be on generating questions, not taking a position. Stefan?
We've already taken a position. I don't think we should spend any more time or energy on it.
Okay, clearly we do not represent everybody in our neighborhood with that position.
We represent a majority. That was a very
Okay.
small vote.
Agreed. I guess what I would say is it was pretty clear from the vote to recall Claire that we aren't representing everybody in the neighborhood with that
We
position.
can't represent everybody, we represent a majority.
Okay, I hear you, Stefan. Others? Brenda?
I would encourage us to put links to the places that have the answers to all the questions and not try to reinvent another way of saying all the, I mean, like there are places if I'm interested, I can go look, I think. So that
We
some
have
of
done that, and
newsletter.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think the printed newsletter would be an especially good place to put those links, and it becomes more information, which to Stefan's point, really the information affirms why people supported it, but it just puts out the good information.
The proposal here is to develop the list of questions. We could enhance it after that if you want with the information that we might receive.
I'd like to
Yeah,
speak to
this is-
Stefan's point, or, sorry, Susan.
Brenda, did you want to respond to that? We're not trying to reach a decision as a neighborhood. We're trying to identify the issues.
Susan had her hand up.
Yeah, and I'm suggesting rather than identifying the issues that we give people information.
Okay, that's another position. Susan?
So I'll just make 2 points. Number one, we did put this in the last print newsletter, and we had URLs as well as QR codes to all of the information because it was part of the neighborhood plan. So everything was submitted there. So that's just an FYI. The one thing I wanted to ask is, to what purpose are we doing this?
So we can indicate to the decision makers the information that we think they need to make available to us and the opportunity to provide feedback before they make the decision, the next round of decisions.
But just to be clear, I thought they'd already made the decisions.
They did
Decisions
not
have
make
been
a
made.
decision. They made that very clear that they still have more decision points coming. All they did was agree to make the preferred option right now. There still needs to be evaluation by LTD of what more detail they have and what the potential impacts will be, et cetera. It's not a done decision.
Can I speak?
Stefan? Is your hand up again, Stefan?
No.
Okay. Claire?
So I wanted to speak to Stefan's point, which is that while there has been a ton of information out there, and while we felt like we had a consensus pretty much already about our position on Move On, there is also a lot of people out there who have been lobbied and who are raising all kinds of questions, and there's a lot of confusion. And I think that this is an opportunity to give people a way to articulate their questions and concerns, and to
Not concerns, questions.
Well,
That's the point I'm trying to make. We're not here to hear people's concerns.
can I finish my statement, Brent, John?
Yes, please.
So whether or not I don't know how you're going to police that. But people need to ask their questions, state their questions, and have some confidence in there being a truthful answer. Right now, there's no such thing as truth. People don't trust information coming from the city. There's multiple versions of the story out there. So I think any effort that we can make to both hear people and clarify would be useful.
But my proposal is that we don't get into answers. We only get into questions, because if we start getting into answers, it won't work. If we come together and look for identifying what the issues and questions are, I think we can do that together.
I think people will be grateful to have an opportunity to raise their questions if we can say where those questions are going to go to and how they're going to get answered, down the road, or what is the process for getting them answered, which I know is one of the questions.
Right. Further discussion? Brenda?
Well, Susan, I think, asked what happens to these, what happens, as Claire just said, we're going to get a list of questions that are not allowing concerns, but what happens to those questions?
Well, the questions can have concerns. They just don't have to
But,
have
but
answers.
the point is, John, what happens to that list of questions?
My proposal is that we share it with our neighbors and we also share it with the city council and LTD, who are the decision makers. And then it's up to the city and LTD to actually answer the questions and give definitive answers so they can get answers from the public about what they want to have happen. That's not what happened this last time.
So we're soliciting questions to pass on to the decision makers.
And to inform our neighborhood about what they should consider when they hopefully have an opportunity to give feedback to the decision makers. We're trying to clarify the process, which was very muddy and was full of misinformation. We're not trying to find the information, but we're telling the decision makers that they need to give clear and cogent answers to what that information should be.
I find it confusing to hear us talking about this. And so I'm thinking that a whole 200 people listening to us, that we need to be very clear. We're asking for questions and and then we're passing them on to the decision makers. If that's what we're doing, we need to be really clear about it and not have a paragraph about it as we talk about it beyond here.
We're not setting ourselves up to have answers.
Exactly. And we will share it with our members as well, not just decision makers. So hopefully it'll be a focal point for decisions, information and decision process in the future. Claire, is your hand still up?
No.
Stefan?
Why would we do that if we've already voted to support this project?
Again,
Why raise questions? Why raise doubts? We've made a decision, stick to our decision and move on.
okay,
and not
I
waste
understand that's
time.
your position. But it's clear to me that our position is not shared by a large majority of the people who live in our neighborhood. That's
So-
why I think we need to bring it up again as a question for the decision makers. So would someone like to make this motion so we can vote on it? Dan?
Just a question, kind of, in regard to what Stefan just said, is that this isn't really about RRCO as an organization. Our editorial opinion is, I think, maybe something to acknowledge that there's disagreement in the neighborhood, and we just want to add to the education so we can try to come closer together. It's not about what RRCO endorses. It's about what neighborhood concerns are.
And I think we have to acknowledge that there's a difference of opinion.
Yeah,
So
well,
what I put in here is I move to establish an ad hoc committee to research and report the information needed to enable the River Road neighborhoods understanding the moving ahead proposal for bringing EMX to River Road, with one of us as a board interim chair and board liaison, to be shared with the city council, to be shared with membership, city council, and LTD board. Does anyone
second.
want to make that motion? As chair, I can't.
I'd support it if you put the words that were a little cleaner and not so ambiguous. I don't think we're going to get people to understand anything. What you said you were going to do is ask about the questions people had about the moving ahead proposal.
Right.
That was in the motion. I could support it, but I can't. It's too ambiguous the way you have it written.
I'll say, so report the questions needed rather the information, to define the questions needed. Is that what you're suggesting?
A little while ago, you said, I'm sorry, I may be just being grief-stricken and picky, but you were going to ask what questions people in the neighborhood had about the moving ahead project, and pass those questions on to the decision makers about that project. That sounds reasonable to me. I may have questions even though I support it, But what this says is we're going to research and report the information so that the neighborhood understands how important this is. That's a whole different,
Ball of wax.
that's way too big. I want it clean, simple, and that's all. I think you're biting off, you're making my eyes roll back in my head, and it could be simple and you might get some information that you would find helpful.
I would appreciate. Tell me what it should be.
Research and provide information. No, I've changed my mind. Wait a minute. I wrote something before, but now I understand. I move to establish an ad hoc committee to solicit questions and concerns that people have about the moving ahead proposal and share those with the decision makers and share the list. I don't know why you'd share the list with the whole community, but yeah, I'm not sure that I want that shared back with the whole community. That sounds like stirring up the trouble that Stefan was suggesting we stay out of. Passing on information and questions is a good idea. Throwing all those questions back to the community just says, hi guys, why don't we all consider all these?
Can I ask you if you would remove information and just limit it to questions? Because information is going and doing research and we're not going to do that.
Yeah, questions is fine.
Okay. And wouldn't we want to share those questions that we came up with our membership so they can engage with the decision makers on how they feel about those questions?
If there is an opportunity for that dialogue.
Well, that's going to be one of the questions. How are we going to have the opportunity to give feedback?
Okay, but when that evolves, then we can share it with folks.
Right. Brenda, are you cool with that now?
I think I'm suggesting we not share all of the questions that we're passing on to them with everybody else. We're asking for questions to pass on.
Right.
And we're doing that.
But why not pass it on to our membership along with the city council and the LTD board? So they're aware of what issues we identified that we think are important for the decision. Okay, back to Stefan. And
Susan.
Is there anything other than you don't like it, Stefan?
I didn't intend to have my hand still up.
Okay, Susan.
Can I just propose that maybe we come back, we table this particular discussion since we don't have alignment on what the motion should be, and then we can come back and have a discussion around the motion as it actually is, or do it via email so we can keep moving forward. That's my recommendation.
That probably makes sense. I don't think it's time critical. So there's a motion to table till next meeting. Is that what I heard you say, Susan?
That is correct.
Okay, that's a that's a non-debatable issue. All those who wish to table this to next
We
meeting.
need a second.
Yes. Well, that's right. Is someone second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stefan. All those in favor of tabling this till next month, please raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous as far as I can tell. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Susan, fall newsletter.
Yes, hi. I believe, thank you for everyone who submitted suggestions on the newsletter. I did receive an email from one person. I did not receive any volunteers unless Claire or John, you received any as co-chairs, and I just haven't heard yet.
No.
Okay, so our challenge is, right now it is beginning of October. The realistic timeline to get something out the door with me and Charles C being the only two people, which would mean I would be doing the bulk of the rating and creation of the content, because we haven't got any other contributors or folks that have volunteered to assist. It's just untenable unless we were to potentially partner with another group. And so one idea that was discussed at the CAC meeting was a little bit around education on the neighborhood plan. And an idea that I had was, do we want to consider going to the folks in the Santa Clara community organization and partnering with them to do either a joint newsletter about the neighborhood plan to all of our content, or all of our residents across both, or to collaborate on a significant amount of content for the neighborhood plan and carve out a little bit of other content, assuming we get assistance from the city on that content, as well as assistance from the folks in Santa Clara, and recognizing that Charles C. is not completely able to do the entire layout for the newsletter this year. It's just a lot of work, and it's hard to do with a lot of changes that come in. So we definitely need more folks that could assist us in that process. And it's just a suggestion that I had, and I have not approached anyone at the Santa Clara community organization. I wanted to bring it to this organization first. If this organization is not comfortable with that, then we will definitely need to postpone the newsletter, because it won't happen between now and December with just myself and Charles C. Being the only folks on the committee. So thoughts, questions? I appreciate input. John?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's an unknown variable that we don't know the answer to, and that is, in the past, the city has sent out a mailer to all the people in River Road and Santa Clara, informing them of what's going on with the neighborhood plan, et cetera, et cetera. Are you thinking this would be in addition to that? Let me add one more thing. Right now, we're in a mess, frankly, as you, I think you know, the person who is the lead planner for this project has just left the city. So we don't even have a project
Terry?
lead.
That's Terry?
No, that's Charles, excuse me, Chelsea. Chelsea Hartman has resigned, and she's gone to work for the city of Springfield.
And that's within the last month?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know what's going on with the plan. It needs to be, the city needs to reorganize and re-engage. At the same time, the CAC is working on trying to identify their position on the 4 remaining key issues. So everything is in flux. But
right. Well, this would be in concert with the CAC's initiative, and the last CAC meeting, which was around how do we think about education. And I know a couple meetings were going to be held with Beth and Rex with some folks at the city. So I just don't know. Do you know if they had that meeting or?
there has not been a meeting unless it's the internal meeting has taken place with staff, but they have not met with the co-chairs of the CAC. So I don't know what's up. But just throw that all that out there. We don't know whether we would be duplicating the city's efforts to get information out with the CAC. And I wonder if there isn't other items that we'd want to put in that newsletter that are unique to River Road, such as the discussion of whether or not we have a committee to generate information, questions, etc. So
and to write
I don't know if it's appropriate to identify the contents of the newsletter tonight as much as it is figuring out how we're going to develop it.
I just think that that the question of the hour was, if we're going to try to get it out before the end of this calendar year and actually have a newsletter go out every 6 months as opposed to February, and then we're going to turn around and rush something out 2 months later, I'm trying to get us on a more systematic basis. In order to do that, we need content, and unfortunately, with only myself and Charles C. and no suggestions and no other folks willing to be part of the committees, it's just not realistic to think that 2 people can put out the entire newsletter. It's just not.
Understood.
So I'm looking for, that was my suggestion. And again, I'm open to others. Misty, you have a question or comment?
So I just heard you say you're looking for content.
Yes.
Okay, I'm interested in contributing.
Great.
So,
We announced it in the last board meeting or the last general meeting. We're looking for volunteers that would be part of the committee to put the entire thing together. So love it if you're interested. It'll be great. Awesome.
Thank you.
Anybody, is anyone else interested in being on the committee? I mean, again, I'm very eager for other folks to get involved. We just can't have, only 2 people drive it. Claire.
So I think it's really useful to put out a call for items. I do that every month when I do the e-news. And we could put out a call for items in the e-news to the general community. And I also wonder why we don't have an active list of people who want to volunteer that we just call up and ask to do this task. We seem to be remiss.
So I'd love to. I mean, all I could say is that we've put it out. I mean, we've actually asked for volunteers at multiple meetings, and
yeah, no, I understand that. What I'm suggesting is that as an organization, maybe we'll talk about it in December, is that it's better to have names of people you can ask directly than to put out a general call. You're never going to get volunteers from a general call. So thanks for your work on this. I appreciate how difficult it is. And maybe we won't put out an e-news in December and I can work with you on it.
What if we?
I'm sorry, Chelsea, you have a question? Chelsea, your hand is up.
It's not a question, it's a statement.
Yes,
if you are planning on a newsletter to come out in the middle, say, of December, the printer needs to get it somewhere near the 1st of December. You need all of November to put together the copy. That means that the planning on the content needs to happen in October. You just don't have the time. My availability is going to be very limited with the 14th meeting and the follow-up to that. I just don't see this happening. A call for topics has gone out. I've responded to it.
Thank you.
So it's, you need a committee of people from the board and elsewhere that are just going to start writing and putting this thing together. If people haven't already submitted their ideas, then we're really behind the ball.
Thank you, Chelsea. Jan.
Yeah, I would find it helpful, and probably other people would too, if they knew what the job description was, what is needed, what kind of help does this core 2 people need, what sort of help. If that could be articulated, that would be so people know what they're getting into.
Absolutely. Great input, Jan. Thank you. And to answer your question, for the most part, we need writing skills. We need a organizational capability for someone to manage the input and the content coming in. And then we need at least 1, but preferably 2 people to manage the layout, as well as someone to oversee it and working with the city to ensure our timelines are met, that our finances are done, et cetera. Historically, it's been done, I believe, with 2 to 3 people. Actually, well, the last one was done with 2 people, and we had 1 additional writer, and 2 additional writers. I apologize. So we had 3 people, 3 writers, and 1 Chelsea exclusively handling all the layout, which was kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Any other questions? John, do you have your hand up still?
Yeah, I will be happy to help to the degree that my skills are of value, but I know that I'm not a great writer, but I'm more than willing to help as much as I can. I don't want to squelch your enthusiasm, Susan, but I'm thinking maybe it won't get done by December.
No, it's clearly not, unless we had an agreement that we would do it in partnership with Santa Clara. I had already said that there was no way it would happen before February. And then we're just going to have this real quick turn thing, which I don't think is as valuable to our community. So it's a bummer, but I understand the opinion of the team, and we can move on. And we will, folks that are interested, you can email me, or you can send me a direct email, a direct note here via direct messages, and we'll get started on something. I will have to figure out how to literally pull it out of thin air. So we'll figure something out.
Well, I would suggest you call for topics and people willing to write about them. The one thing we would have to do with the February newsletter is announce the March election. That's the requirement from the city.
I understand. And I do also understand that my audio is a problem. I'm trying to figure it out, but I can't do so without leading the meeting. And I felt it was more important to stay in the meeting and represent my topic. So thank you for your patience.
So do you have what you need tonight?
Yes, I have definitive clarity that we are not going to have a newsletter in December. And I have a couple volunteers. Misty has volunteered. John, you have volunteered. Jan, you have volunteered. That is wonderful.
I'll send you an email, Susan.
Marvelous. Thank you so much. I'll put it
Thank
in
you
the
so
chat.
much for moving this forward, Susan.
Mhm.
Okay, this one, if it is controversial, we won't have to do it. I sent you a draft letter of a position from a committee that's been working with EOCE, which is the committee that's now running the neighborhood program and also the equality. I'm now I'm
Equity,
getting
inclusion, and equity and community
equity and community engagement. Yeah.
engagement. Yeah.
So basically what it is the city is that group, the EOCE, is proposing to revise the document that the city council basically says this is how neighborhoods are supposed to work. They're doing that at a time when they don't even have a neighborhood representative on staff to work with neighborhoods about this issue. So the draft letter you got asked the EOCE to hold up further working on this project until they hire a neighborhood liaison. So that's what I'm asking you to do, is support that draft letter as the board. Is there discussion? Susan?
Yeah, can you help me understand the 5 names at the bottom of that letter? I noticed in the letter it said that 8 wards were represented. How many wards are represented in the signatures of that letter?
Okay, first of all, it's not wards, it's neighborhood
Sorry,
associations.
neighborhoods.
What happened was the 5 of us have been working with the city staff to create the draft that the city staff took sole responsibility for. They sent it out and asked for feedback. You as board members got a request for that. This committee had an informational session, which you were invited to earlier this week. 14 people showed up from 8 neighborhoods. And in that discussion, they felt it was premature to move forward with this. So based on that input from those people who attended that session, this letter came out of it.
Right, but
Does that
of these
clarify?
5, well, the 5 signatures, I don't know who those other 4 people are and what neighborhoods they represent. That's the question I'm asking.
So the other 4 people on the committee and consists of John Fable, who is on the board of Northeast Neighbors, Renee Kane, who is on the board of Jefferson West Side. Let's see. Let me pull up the other 2 are on the boards of not Santa Clara, but
Friendly,
good, pardon? One
Friendly?
is from Whitaker and the other is from
Active Bethel?
no, I'm sorry.
So,
I'm
I guess I can make
there are
this
5
easier.
neighborhood representatives who are on the NLC,
Okay, so it's 5 representatives from the NLC representing.
who are on the
8,
committee,
and there are 8 neighborhoods out of 23 or 28 that
who
are represented.
participated in the informational session, and this came out of that informational session.
Okay, but there are 28.
There are 23
yeah,
neighborhood associations, 3 or 4 of which are not active.
Okay, okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
And I apologize for getting names of neighborhoods. So the question is, the real question is, are you comfortable with this moving ahead without there even being a neighborhood liaison on city staff to be involved in this process? So let me just give you one of the examples of what they are proposing. They're saying that if Susan creates a newsletter that speaks to an issue that's on the agenda for the city council within the next month and a half, you have to inform the neighborhood program that you intend to write about that item. They have 3 days to tell you what the official city position is, to get that back to you, for you to modify your newsletter article in case it doesn't agree with what the city says they're saying. And if you don't match their position, then we would have to pay for another correction to be sent out later. So it does have potential to make our life more difficult. Stefan,
Yes, so is the motion, and we need someone to make it, to
right?
approve the letter asking for a pause in efforts to revise the neighborhood organization.
Exactly.
policy. Okay.
Would you like
anyone
to make
making
that motion? Oh, you are?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Claire,
Brenda.
second.
Brenda seconds, yeah.
Discussion.
I think this is a really good idea. It's been really muddy and politicky and in-groupy, and that it has some big repercussions. And I think the city needs to get their act together, and they need to respect neighborhoods more. So this is a way to kind of push that.
Other discussion? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor of supporting this letter, please raise your hands.
I see.
Are you in favor?
I was debating. Not really, but I'm gonna vote for it.
Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. Thanks for getting through that quickly. Okay, are we done? Oh, no. The last item is, how do we want to handle committee reporting? Claire, do you want to deal with that tonight or hold it off for another month? Or talk
No,
about it at the board meeting?
let's hold it off, but I will say that we have asked committees to submit reports to the board, but we didn't figure out what we're doing with those and what if there's accountability or why we want them or whatever. So we need to sort that out, and I don't think we're ready to do that tonight.
Okay, I would suggest that as a potential topic if we have time for our retreat.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I see your hand up, Stefan, but I'm thinking it may be from the last. No.
You know
Brenda,
how to lower your hand?
In the chat is your survey.
Well, that's not very useful.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
There's a link to the survey. If you copy it, you can use it later. If you
Right.
don't copy it, then you're out of luck.
Well,
I'm copying. I'm going to copy it and email it to everyone.
okay. Or
Brenda, I don't think qualities are part of our survey, but if we want to modify it, we can. They were asking us for issues important to our neighborhood.
all of you know what you're supposed to be filling out in this. You are all in the part of the conversation. I'm giving you a tool for
But
where
I
you
don't
can
think
write what you want.
qualities were part of the discussion or the motion.
John, do you want to take that and make edits?
You want me to edit it to get the word qualities off? Is that what you're asking for, John?
Yes,
I can do
please.
that.
Yes,
All right. I'll take the word qualities off the form.
thank you. Anything else for the good of the order, folks?
And by the way, the link will still work.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Thanks. Thanks for doing that.
So I want to appreciate Joshua. I asked him to step in to manage that disruption, and I don't know if they went away, so I'm assuming that's what he did.
Does anybody know what that was? Has that ever happened before? Like
Not outside of the Harry thing.
Bombers. You know,
what?
this link has been out there for so long now that it's probably, Zoom bombers, they pick it up, they come in, they just try to disrupt.
Apparently. They quoted you, Brenda, as inviting them. I assume that wasn't the case.
You don't know you don't know what Brenda they were talking
Oh,
to.
that's true. There was a Brenda in this group too. Yes, thank
I
you.
mean,
They
Yeah,
also
good
said
point.
that I was sleeping. I have a shadow in my glasses. Give me a break.
So I would suggest that we get Joshua to teach us how to do that faster. That was really sidelined the energy. We had some really good energy and we let them take that away, and we need to not do that.
Should
Right.
we have another Zoom access to the board meetings?
I'm not understanding what you're saying, Jan.
Should we make a new link instead of reusing the same one?
I
Yeah,
think we have to allow our membership to attend our board meetings to observe.
we can still make a new link and just publish it at the next board meeting.
That's true. And
Yeah.
that might take it away, but who
Correct.
knows how they got the
It's
link.
still public, yeah.
It's public, and if they're really that eager, I'm sure they will, but I just don't think it's not in their nature to deliver that much.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for your forbearance. That was a huge agenda. Next time we evaluate the general meeting, let's evaluate this board meeting too.
What's the timeline on this survey? Claire, you're leaving Wednesday?
I'm leaving Thursday, but I will be online, so I can pick it up during the weekend.
Okay, so if people finish it out by Friday, I'll put that back in the survey too.
And I will try to be available while I'm away, but I don't know that I will succeed.
He's going to be in Egypt. He's not going to be doing his email.
Don't go. Don't be doing it. Just be gone.
Okay, folks, thanks. See you next month.
Thank you, everybody.